Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wonderkamer. This is your podcast in which three dilettantes open up our cabinet of curiosities and tell you a fascinating tale. My name is Jen Rempel. I'm here with
Dave Powell
and
Tracy Anderson Powell.
Today we're going to listen to part 2 of Tracy's tale of the motor vehicle races that happened in the early part of the 20th century and the fascinating treks that ensued.
Yeah. So in the last episode, we talked about the Citroen car company that sent men across the desert and then across Africa in cars with caterpillar tracks. In this episode, we're going to look at the third and fourth expeditions.
And the first two expeditions went surprisingly well.
Yeah, they did.
They were successful.
I think as Jen mentioned, I don't think we've ever heard a podcast where somebody goes on an audacious trip into through the center of Africa or other very difficult terrain, and then it just kind of goes fine.
Yep.
And is in fact like just a great accomplishment, ignoring all the horrors of colonialism, which is hard to do, still incredible.
Yes.
That's right. Just looking at it as an expedition, both successful. So parts 3 and 4, I'm super curious to hear what happens if we have more disasters afoot or actually any disasters. Guess we'll find out.
We will indeed. So planning the next expedition started almost as soon as everyone returned to Paris from Madagascar. This one should be the ultimate test of man and machine. It should be the last great challenge of land travel, coast to coast across Asia from west to east. So far, such an adventure hadn't been tackled by the automobile.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty long, and the automobile's pretty new.
This is, I think, predating the Mongol Rally, so let's go.
Yeah, it is.
Do you know the Mongol Rally, Jen?
I have not.
It's something Mongolia. Tracy and I fantasized about doing for a little while. What you do is you get a beater. So you have to get a car that is below a certain price point, and we're talking a few $1,000s. And you drive it from Western Europe to Mongolia.
Holy. You guys do that? I'm joining you.
Excellent.
Honestly,
all right.
Wonderkamer road trip. We talked about this before. We need to do a Wonderkamer road trip. We'll get a caterer and a cinematographer like they had on their.
We'll do a live show to a baffled Irish pub in Tashkent. It'll be great.
That would be amazing.
It'll be wonderful.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
You were not invited here.
We'll just set it up. We'll just bring out microphones and amplifiers, and we'll just start recording.
Yeah. We'll do live. It'll be like a flash podcast instead of a flash mob. But
where we just set up in the Gobi Desert.
I'm in.
And the key thing here is Jen has actually been to Central Asia, which would help significantly because Lord knows I haven't.
Hey, look, if you want to get around Astana, Kazakhstan, I can hook you up. Sort of.
Beautiful. All right, now that we have dreams of the Wonderkamer road trip, we can continue on with the road trip for André Citroën. Mm-hmm. Citroen, how do you pronounce this name? Do it slow for us.
Citroen.
Okay, Citroen. Johnny Lemon.
Citroen.
Yes.
I'm like Citroen? Yeah, Citroen. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Citroen. Yep. So in the words of André Citroën, might it not be possible to rediscover the traces of the ancient Silk Road followed in the 7th century by Chinese pilgrim Xuanzang and in the 13th century by the great explorer Marco Polo, and to reopen for traffic that main trade route along which passed of old the commerce between China, Persia, Arabia, and Europe? And might not the motor car of the future play a great part in bringing together those peoples who as of yet were strangers?
Pretty optimistic. The motor vehicle as fostering community and understanding.
These were earlier, more idyllic days before we realized that cars did the exact opposite.
Yes, yeah. It actually fostered great atomization, and also, before kind of the world twigged to the fact that almost all, except for Citroen, car manufacturers were fascists.
Yes,
the one non-fascist car manufacturer.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great ideals, It allows travel. Yeah, that's true.
You know what?
Yeah, he is absolutely an idealist.
Yeah.
You know what? If we're going to compare him to Renault or Ford, I'll take Johnny Lemon here.
His name is André
Lemon.
Yeah, but it's not like there's a French equivalent of Johnny. Don't look that up. The name Jean does not exist.
Johnny. Johnny Lemon? I don't know if that's even right. Just using a French accent there, basically.
No, it'd be Jean Citroën. Citroen.
Jean Citroën? C'est bon?
It's Citroen. We just went over this.
I know.
It actually started out as Citroen, and he added the accent over the E, the diuresis.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I realized that because I'm like, I've taken years of terrible Albertan French lessons and cannot speak more than a couple words, but I don't think we ever pronounced lemon as Citroen. So he put the emphasis on a different syllable to be fancy.
Oh,
Sure
what
did.
he did was that accent, the 2 dots over the E, means that you pronounce it separately from the vowel that comes before it. So instead of Citroen, it's Citroen.
Oh.
But he's still trying to be fancy for its own sake.
Yeah, I guess
Or
so.
it's indicating pronunciation, but it's still, the umlauts are always considered pretty fancy, yeah?
Well, it's like
Yeah.
me changing my name to Dove.
Please do it.
I was just thinking I should put umlauts in my last name, but then it wouldn't make any sense because it'd be Rempel. 2 umlauts. Jennifer. Oh, no, all 3 E's. Jennifer Rempel. That's how you pronounce it.
Put the umlauts over the consonants. Just fuck with those people.
That's right.
I don't know who
All
those
umlauts.
people are, but, the umlaut fans who demand proper use of accents.
That's right. Anyway, we've had our fun with this man's last name.
5 years later, Georges-Marie Hart, Louis Audouin Dubray, and other veterans of the Croisière noire left France in March 1931 as part of the Citroën Central Asian Expedition, or the Croisière jaune. Yeah.
So, what's Croisière?
Cruise.
Oh.
Why? Why are they calling it the Yellow Expedition?
That is never explained in any of the books that I've read.
And your books were of the time and extremely racist, so either it goes without saying, but there's the Black
Actually, one of the
Expedition.
books is surprisingly not racist.
Oh, that's nice. When was it written?
1935.
Oh, shit. That's incredible. That is the most progressive book written at the time. And that includes many communist tracts. So
It's the book that was commissioned to be written about the trek. So it was originally published in French, and then Sir Ernest Swinton translated it into English, and it was published in 1935.
Oh, fantastic. And, but all right. So, okay. I'll just leave off the Yellow Expedition ominous name, and we'll continue on like that. We'll just make
I'll
that
say
face.
more, but just cringe inside. Yeah, making like goosey face, pull the collar.
I'm pulling up my
shaking
collar
it
for
Yep.
those on
Those of
audio,
you at
which is
home,
everybody,
listen.
because this is not a video podcast.
Yeah.
Their aim was the first ever motorized crossing of Central Asia. It was to be, quote, a bold new mission of geographic and scientific exploration. The plan was to cover 8,000 miles, nearly 13,000 kilometers, from the Mediterranean to the South China Sea in 9 months. This
So-
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
They're beginning in which city?
Beirut.
And traveling
They're beginning in Beirut.
Yes. Okay.
And the goal is to get to Peking, and then from there they go to Shanghai and Hong Kong, and then after that down into French Indochina.
And again,
fine.
Jen and I, Tracy's a geography nerd too, but we've all got maps in our brain right now trying to figure out where the line goes. But I think Tracy's going to tell us that.
Oh, I mean, makes sense.
Well, I mean, does it go like, are we going through Russia where the terrain's a lot easier? Are we going
find
directly
out.
through the mountains? Yeah, exactly. Are they doing it hardcore mode or not?
Yeah, because the Himalayas versus the steppes, like the two most opposite routes you could consider. Which
Yeah.
you'd think the steppes, but
Yeah,
Either way, somebody is throwing a goat at you.
yep.
probably.
What's that name of that sport where the literal translation is goat bashing?
Oh, isn't that from
Oh, no.
Afghanistan?
It's huge in Afghanistan, but in Central Asia in general, and it's like polo with a dead goat. And it's one of the coolest, most
That's right, I
hardcore
remember.
sports ever. Their future podcast episode is I'll talk
Yeah.
about sports that we might not be aware of in North America because it's cool, right? So the throwing a dead goat you wouldn't throw a dead goat. You'd actually take the dead goat from you and then race across the finish line. So anyways.
I'm imagining rugby with a dead goat now.
Pretty much.
Except they're all on horseback. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember those pictures. I would be fascinated to learn more about that for sure.
Yeah,
there
definitely.
we go. There's a future podcast episode. Wonderful. I'll throw it in the trailer and never make it.
Yeah, that's right.
This third expedition was to further the cause of science, art, and economics. They were encouraged by the ministers of foreign affairs, of the colonies, and of posts and telegraphs, who also lent aid in facilitating the obtaining of permission to enter Asian countries. The expedition was sponsored and supported by the French government, the Geographical Society, the National History Museum, the National Geographic Society of America, and Pathé Natan, a newsreel company that planned to make a film about it.
Ooh.
The whole expedition took 3 years to organize and prepare. They had to reconnoiter the route, get all the necessary travel documentation, and establish supply bases for fuel and spare parts. The journey was to be a crusade, says Lefèvre in An Eastern Odyssey.
Ugh.
That sounds kind of racist.
Yeah, it does. I think his definition of crusade and ours is slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So he goes on to say, in which scientist, artist, and technical expert would take part with the machine as their servant.
And then he tried to shout Deus Vult, but was tackled from behind.
Yes.
That's good.
As he should be.
Yeah. What year was this? 1935?
Yes.
1931?
You know?
1930. Well, nonetheless, the early 30s, as we know, everything's fine. Anyways, go on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing going on in the world there. It's a problem.
Settle down there, Hegseth.
The plan at first looked like this. Leaving the Mediterranean shore of Asia, the route was to skirt the south of the Caspian Sea to Ashgabat through Russian Turkestan to Sinkiang, then crossing the Gobi Desert as far as the Yellow River, on to Kalgan and Peking, and then finally south to Saigon. They'd need permission from the Soviet Union for this route, who was not averse to the expedition, but did feel the need to veto passage through Russian Turkestan. The Soviets suggested a more northerly route through Astrakhan, Akmolinsk, and Semipalatinsk to the Chinese frontier at Bakhti. There was no objection to the expedition's scientific equipment, which included a cinematographer camera and wireless set, provided the latter were operated by Russians. Plus, the Soviets maintained it was not necessary for the French to carry arms. The Soviet government would hold itself responsible for their safety.
Seems reasonable.
When has Stalin been anything but reasonable?
Yeah, that's right. What was the reason for the Turkmenistan? Were there military operations there, or
there's no reason that's given?
Interesting.
They were always weird about Turkmenistan, though, which is weird to this day. So maybe this is Russian Turkestan, and I've used the old names, the names that they were at the time,
right?
Because trying to find the modern equivalent was just doing my head in.
What we might do as a fun little project is put up a little map in the show notes through the modern terrain, because we're. Mm-hmm. I know some of these, and so Russian Turkestan and Turkmenistan are not going to have identical borders, or Russian Turkestan might, I don't know, be in Uzbekistan, but there's not a lot of Turks there.
Yeah, it may be several countries, because there's a Russian Turkestan and there's a Chinese Turkestan.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so it gets a little messy.
This is why Turkish nationalists claim the entire planet except for the area the Kurds live in and Armenians as Turkic peoples. Everyone else is Turkic.
Same with Kazakhstan as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's a Turkic language, so it's like
There we go. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. But it sounds like they're kind of skipping into the steppes, because if my understanding is correct, Semipalatinsk is right north of Kazakhstan, right on near the border, if I recall correctly. So I think it's going around and then through the steppes. But anyway, that would be a little bit easier, or skipping some of the mountains.
Yeah,
in the southern area. So that could be why. Anyway, I don't know.
Russian Turkestan's a lot bigger than modern Turkmenistan. It extends much farther east. Okay.
Oh, okay. Public opinion in China was opposed to exploration by foreigners. It was felt that the object of foreigners wandering about in the desert was to look for minerals and oil, and would despoil China of her natural wealth. The scientific motive for exploration was also suspect, because if there was something there, China assuredly would have found it already.
You know what? I don't blame him.
Look, you can't trust. Look at the whole opium wars. Like they you can't trust. What do you mean?
Have you seen what these assholes have done? No,
we can't be trusted. I'm sorry.
And the scientific exploration thing is really interesting because we're going to go through Asia and bring science there. Like, what?
Yeah, well, yeah, that too. First of all, no,
well, they're not bringing science there. Science is already there, and they're aware of this.
Okay,
they're bringing their own scientists to look at archaeology and different plant species and that sort of thing. Like in the previous expeditions, where they brought back samples of things they hadn't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And then
so they're not bringing science.
Yeah, it's a corollary to the colonial project in that it's fascinating. All these scientists and researchers find all these things unknown to us, but also look at what we can exploit. So I think in China, they're not wrong.
No,
frankly.
No, and they can take a look at colonialism.
Being the first European to document a palace cat sounds kind of fun because palace cats are delightful. So I get it.
That's true.
They're meadows, as they're called.
Hart selected the young naval officer, Lieutenant Victor Point, to act as emissary. He had commanded a gunboat on the upper Yangtze for 2 years, including the period of communist rebellion. He was young, not quite 30, but Hart still thought him the best man for the job. Obstacles were placed in the way by the Federation of Chinese Scientific Studies, the FCSS. They were considered rabidly xenophobic and more political than scientific, but still their sanction was needed. Point acted quickly and gained the support of the French minister to China. He then succeeded in getting a promise from the FCSS that a committee would be appointed to look at the project. 2 weeks later, the committee produced a 14-point draft agreement. The expedition was to have both a French and Chinese director. It would consist of Chinese members nominated by the FCSS and French members who would also be approved by the FCSS. Anything that might directly or indirectly affect the national defense or sovereignty of China was forbidden. No surveying, no extensive archaeological excavations, and a member of the Chinese general staff was to supervise any filming. Protesting was useless.
But again, it's their country. Like, when the communist revolution was very recent too for China, so they're still establishing, sovereignty and cultural changes and whatnot at the time. So yeah, they're going to be pretty strict about that kind of thing, which again, I don't find unreasonable.
No,
the time period we're in.
No, not at all. The Federation
and the white man, frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah, China's going through some shit at this point. Go on.
Mm-hmm.
The Federation ended up voting in favor of the Great Sino-French Expedition of the 19th year. All that was needed then was authorization from the Chinese government in Nanking. When Chiang Kai-shek was approached about it, he was mainly concerned with what the FCSS thought. After reflection, he instructed the Minister of Communications to give the French delegate a favorable reception. And with everything
is before the revolution, or it's ongoing.
They're mid-Civil War at this point.
That's right. Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the revolution is ongoing because it took a very, very long time. Like that's the PRC came up out in the mid to late 40s.
That's right. Okay, good to have that reminder. Thanks. So this is interesting. Yeah, so even more turmoil than I originally thought.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And with everything seeming to be successful so far, Point returned to Peking, where he and Vladimir Petropavlovsky, known as Petro, were busy working out routes for a third group. This group would set up a chain of supply bases for the two main convoys. Going 6,000 miles, or 9,700 kilometers, across China was an expedition on its own. Petro was a white Russian, multilingual, and a civil engineer. He was born in Russia but lived the last 12 years in China. His skills, familiarity with Chinese culture and language would be invaluable for preparations and the journey. Later on in his life, he took British citizenship, joined the British Army, and became sort of a James Bond figure in the world of espionage.
Damn, he could be an episode.
Yeah, he could.
That sounds like a hell of a guy.
I tried to find out more about him, and I can't. I couldn't find hardly anything.
That's too bad. Yeah. There are some people where I'm like, oh, that'd be a cool episode, but I'm like, it would be 5 minutes long, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We need to collect those and make one giant episode of 5 minutes.
Yes. Open the Wonderkamer's junk drawer.
Junk drawer? Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. We'll call it the junk drawer. Hell yeah. In a good way.
I like it.
We'll keep that in mind.
Now, the authority granted by Nanking was considered a moral and indispensable asset, but would it have any real value in Sinkiang? Sinkiang was a province as large as France, 2,000 miles, 3,200 kilometers, away and surrounded by deserts. Since the Chinese Revolution, the Governor-General of Sinkiang, Marshal King, became the absolute master of the province. No one could enter without his permission. Point telegraphed him, explaining the expedition and its aims, flattered him, and begged him for a permit to enter the province. 45 days later, Marshal King's response was telegraphed to Peking. It would seem the flattery worked.
What did he give him, the FIFA Peace Prize trophy? That or some kind of orb.
Yeah, they just immediately invade Uzbekistan after getting that trophy, though.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
Instructions would be given at all frontier stations to let the illustrious French travelers pass. He offered even to exchange silver dollars for local currency at a rate of 2 paper lands for 1 silver dollar. The exchange rate at the time was 3.6 lands for 1 silver dollar.
I'm not a mathematician, but that's better?
Yeah, I've been trying to figure that out. I'm pretty sure it's better.
That's a good deal. Yes.
Yeah, because you used to give 3 for a silver dollar, but you're giving a better exchange rate at 2 for a silver dollar.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's nice of him. Mm-hmm. Since Hart planned on bringing 7 cars and a wireless set, Marshal King imagined it would be easy for Hart to bring 3 additional cars and wireless sets, which would be paid for on arrival at Urumqi.
A wireless... Now, I'm picturing a gramophone, unfortunately. So I'm thinking of what a wireless set. How big is that going to be? Is it like a radio?
Yeah, it's a radio, but I think it's on the bigger side, but it's not anything that like 2 people couldn't carry.
Okay.
Now I could be totally wrong about that, but it sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
At the same time, Hart was working to enlist the backing of the British and Indian governments and collecting information on Central Asia. He found that everyone he talked to from the Foreign Office, the War Office, the India Office, and the Air Ministry was delighted to help in any way they could. They supplied maps, records, and reports. Cables and letters were dispatched on behalf of the expedition to India, and official channels of communication to the British Consul General at Kashgar and to English missionaries in Sinkiang at his disposal.
All right. Since they're getting everything set up, it's coming along.
Yeah.
I was thinking for our road trip, we better get planning now because it's going to be challenging. I was just thinking it might have been easier to do this back then than it would be now in terms of the visa regimens. We could not drive through Russia now.
No, not at all.
No, getting visas is very complicated. And as my mom has always said, the crummier the country, the more expensive the visa.
Yep, that's right.
True.
In Russia, you couldn't even get one. And I think if you did, you wouldn't even be able to, you can't use all banking. Foreign banking is sanctioned. So you have to bring a big suitcase full of money with you if you went there right now.
Yeah, that sounds safe.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. We'll do a practice run across Canada.
Okay.
There we go. And and when we do this properly, we'll go through safer areas like Afghanistan.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's much safer. Yeah, it'll be easy peasy. Just skip Russia.
So a new plan was made. They split the expedition into 2 groups. The first, the Pamir group, was to be led by Hart and Audouin Dubray to leave from Beirut for Peking. The second group, the China group, was to be led by young Lieutenant Victor Point, going west from Tientsin by way of Moscow and the Trans-Siberian Railway. The 2 groups would meet up at Kashgar on the Silk Road. This was a trading town, the traditional meeting place of East and West, then on to or back to Peking through Mongolia and across the Gobi Desert.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Pamir group was made up of Hart, Audouin Dubray, André Gorger, and Henri Pécour, Secretary General and Paymaster, Alexander Yakovlev, the artist from the Noire, Georges Lefèvre, writer and historian commissioned to produce a book, archaeologist Joseph Hacken, Maynard Owen Williams, an American writer and photographer, chief correspondent, and official delegate of the National Geographic Society of Washington, plus 15 other men as drivers and mechanics, radio operators, cameramen, and sound recordists.
That's a hell of a, a fellowship. They had a whole, I can't make this bit work. Continue.
Okay.
Imagine how funny that would have been. It would have been fucking great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my car. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Fellowship of the Traveling?
Progress half track.
I don't know. I'm trying to mixing movies up there.
They used 7 lightweight 4-cylinder Caterpillar cars, all towing trailers that were needed to carry the group and all their equipment. The radio car had a generator and a powerful shortwave radio that would allow them to keep in touch with the other groups and with Paris through various relay stations and listening posts, including 2 French warships in Shanghai and Hong Kong. The China group used 7 6-cylinder Caterpillar cars of heavy-duty military design originally intended for this expedition, plus 2 conventional lorries. The group was led by Victor Point and manned by 10 drivers and mechanics, accompanied by engineer Charles Bruhl, the director of Citroen Laboratories, cinematographer Georges Specht, archaeologist Jean Carl, naturalist André Raymond, medical doctor Robert Delastre, and radio specialist Roger Kurvizik.
I'm going to give you a heads up. I'm not going to remember a single one of those names. So when you mention them again, circle back to what the role was.
I was just thinking, I need a list of names just about it. But
the dramatis personae. And when you say Caterpillar car, these are still the Congress half tracks, basically the same, maybe a more modern version of the Noire expedition.
Yeah, they're updated versions from that.
Cool.
So wheels in the front, cats in the back.
Yeah.
Yep. Wow.
Business in the front, party in the back.
That's basically it. Oh my God, they're the mullet of cars.
They are, yeah.
These are going to be so popular with lesbians.
You know what? They sound very highly functional and sensible vehicles.
I was about to say, I want one. Just why don't they have ATVs like this? They'd probably flip less.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. ATVs
I imagine they do have ATVs with tracks.
Yeah, but they're not common.
Fair. Another European joined the China group en route, Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, a French geologist, paleontologist, philosopher, mystic, and free thinker. He was a Jesuit priest who lived as a missionary in China for many years and was partially responsible for the discovery of Homo sinanthropus, Peking man.
Really?
He was theologically... Yeah.
The name is very familiar to me.
He was theologically unorthodox and developed the concept of the noosphere, the unconscious union of thought amongst human beings. The Catholic Church regarded this
Maybe
as...
it's noosphere, but I'm not sure. Sorry.
Okay. That makes more sense. Noosphere. The Catholic Church regarded this as heretical. During his life, his superiors placed an embargo on his philosophical work. His famous book, The Phenomenon of Man, wasn't published until after he died.
This sounds like
interesting guy.
Either the most interesting person to speak with or somebody who is simply intolerable to be in the presence of.
Yeah, they're either super interesting or absolutely insufferable. Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, I don't know, getting excommunicated by the church for your ideas, I mean, that's I don't know, gotta appreciate that.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I mean, probably wasn't that hard to do though back in the day.
Yeah.
One of my Mennonite ancestors was kicked out of the Mennonite church for smoking opium.
Oh,
which
wow.
I say, oh yeah, and I know where I get that from. Anyway. Sorry. It's like, yeah, it's in the family. Heresy and drug abuse.
2 great tastes that taste great together.
That's right.
Yep. In February of 1931, 6 weeks before the departure from France, word came from Afghanistan that revolution had broken out in the north, and the route over the Wakjir Pass was now impossible. With over 50 tons of fuel and supplies worth thousands of pounds already in place, and the supply chain across Central Asia ready, postponing or canceling the expedition was far too costly to be a consideration. The only alternative was to find another route through Chinese Turkestan by way of British India and attempt to cross one of the virtually inaccessible passes of the Central Himalayas.
Jesus Christ.
That sounds like it'll work. They're too big to fail, so let's just march into the mountains and die. Like that's
when the cannibalism started.
Can't cancel, so we'll probably just die. Yeah, that's when the cannibalism. Yeah, probably. I want a disaster. Well, let's get it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Hart was given permission to use the Gilgit route through the mountains. Gilgit is located in a region of the Karakoram Mountains where the Karakoram, the Himalayas, and the Hindu Kush ranges converge. This route was normally open only to military and diplomatic personnel. General Sir Ernest Swinton was able to get Colonel Sir Vivian Gabriel, who had unrivaled knowledge of India and her people. Gabriel volunteered to be on the next boat. Sorry?
I said for a white man.
Yeah.
Unrivaled knowledge of India and her people? For white people.
Gabriel volunteered to be on the next boat out to reconnoiter Gilgit Pass and report to Hart in 3 months when the Pamir group reached Srinagar in the foothills of the Himalayas. Early in the morning on April 4th, 1931, Hart's party, the Pamir group, left Beirut for Kabul via Damascus, Baghdad, Tehran, Herat, and Kandahar. They arrived at Palmyra in Syria at night and in the morning found themselves surprised by its beauty during the day. It had once been a capital city, but was now just a road junction in the desert. If you Google this place, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, it's incredible. It's one of the most ancient areas in the world in terms of continuous, whichever civilization, and civilization meaning building buildings that continue to stay up. Yeah, it's astonishing.
Yeah, apparently ISIS tried to destroy what was left, I guess, of the ruins.
Yes. That was one of their big deals, is destroying everything they could of that kind of ancient, particularly pre-Islamic or wrong Islamic kind of stuff. And yeah.
For 3 days, the Pamir group was stopped in Baghdad. They met His Majesty King Faisal. A parade was held in their honor. Yakovlev painted a number of portraits for onlookers. It was in Baghdad that they received a message over the wireless. It reads, from Peking, NR6, Beirut, W23, FPCF, have broken track bands and are immobilized after 3 days' march, 30 miles west of Peking. Stop. We'll try to reach Kalyan with spares available. Stop. Are fully confident. Stop. Victor Point. Point's message was not reassuring. The Pamir group wanted to move on quickly despite being offered a stay of 2 months. Hart had a message sent back to Point, reading, go slow until obstacles are removed. Advancing towards you, happy and confident. Hart.
So just for some context here on the different groups, there's people in Peking already?
There's a group starting, there's the Beirut group that's starting out, and then there's a group in Peking that is going to go basically halfway and meet them in Kashgar on the Silk Road, and then they'll all go back to Peking together.
Got it. Understood. I thought for some reason, I misunderstood what you said and thought they were going to go to Peking and then back, but rather, okay, I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, so they got the group coming from Peking, meet them in the middle, and then they all team up together. And the Peking team have just got a broken track. Everything's doomed, but nonetheless, the Western group is going to continue pushing on, and assume Peking group will be fine and catch up.
Yep.
Got it.
So far, the few messages sent to the China group had gone through 2 relays. One was a wireless station at Beirut, and the other a French naval squadron somewhere in the Far East. On April 28th, they entered Tehran. Their presence provoked a mutual curiosity, and their hosts wanted to show off what was new and modern about the city, but the Pamir group wanted to see old Persia.
I get the instinct on both ends. It's like...
There was a short stay in Herat, Afghanistan. From there, they turned south towards Farah Rud. From Farah Rud, they went east again to Kandahar and then north to Kabul, a 500-mile or 800-kilometer detour around the western spurs of the Hindu Kush. They were to take the same route followed by Alexander the Great 22 centuries earlier.
I can't imagine going over this. And these are open-top cars, right?
And they're what?
These cars, do they have, are they open-top?
No, they have roofs.
Okay, good. I was just saying that this, we're getting into some pretty intense terrain and weather because it's, again, going to vacillate between very hot and very cold. And it's extremely arid and rocky and it's just hard land, right?
Yeah. And they have roofs, but they don't have air conditioning.
No.
Yeah. And they're wearing huge, heavy wool European suits, too. I never understood that. You see people, in India in the 1900s wearing, heavy dresses and wool suits. It's my God.
Yeah, how did they not just melt?
Ugh.
When they approached Kabul, they were surprised by the well-watered and perfectly laid-out boulevard bordered by poplars. Quote, when, after slowly circling the well-kept lawn, gay with flower beds, our 7 cars started in a procession up this avenue, we felt as if we were entering Kabul by its Champs-Élysées.
Aw.
They left Kabul on June 14th and passed through the Bamiyan Valley, home to 2 remarkable Buddha statues, one 175 feet high and the other 120 feet high, carved from the cliffs in the valley. These 2 statues were created in the 6th to 7th century. In 2001, the Taliban had both statues destroyed using anti-aircraft guns, anti-tank mines, and dynamite over several weeks. They claimed this was because Afghanistan was a Muslim country, but the country had been Muslim since around the 10th century. Bamiyan is now listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in danger. So take a look at them on Google sometime. They're quite remarkable.
I remember that happening.
I've seen images of this as well, and this is you get, particularly with the Taliban, fairly young people who are just pushed
zealous and wanting to blow stuff up.
Well, and pushed into increasingly deranged ideas. And it's although ISIS is very different, it's sort of the same force that pushes people here, where there's this idea of just purifying everything that is not of the world you're trying to create.
Yeah.
And
it's foolishness, but
and it's just, and also doing something that is so absolutely horrifying and outrageous in that sense is kind of part of the point,
right?
Because it's empowering, and it sucks, right? Because none of this crap would have happened without lots and lots and lots of colonialism, looting, extraction, death and devastation, etc.
That's right.
Yeah. Thanks, Russia, and then thanks, America, and then thanks, England before that. Y'all did great. Anyways.
Yeah. The expedition made a southeasterly detour across the Afghan high plateau and descended through the Jalalabad basin, where, for the first time, they felt the heat of the Indian plains, like a blast from an open furnace door. The thermometer hit 50 degrees Celsius, or 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Gasoline vaporized in the tanks, and the cars were losing power.
It's one of the hottest places on the planet. They're in Punjab now. Yeah. Sort of the Afghan-Pakistani border. Not Afghan, Indian-Pakistani border. And this is before the partition. But yeah.
Towards the end of June, the rough track of the Khyber Pass gave way to proper highway, and the Pamir Group found itself at the northwest frontier post of Landi Khana, the gateway to British India. They were met by a Gurkha guard officered by an Englishman. They had drinks at the guard post and were invited to lunch at the officers' mess and the Landi Kotal Fort, where they were met by Brigadier General Sandeman and Colonel Gabriel. After lunch, but not before many farewell drinks, they set off heading east on the road to Peshawar. At Peshawar, the group took advantage of the hospitality of the officers of the Khyber Rifles and the RAF, which offered their workshops and engineering resources to make adjustments and repairs to the vehicles.
So they're getting through. They're just kind of having to make a lot of repairs as they go.
Yeah.
And slow going because of heat.
Yes.
And terrain.
The Pamir Group passed through Punjab to Rawalpindi, where they started the slow climb through the foothills of the Himalayas to Srinagar, the capital of Kashmir. They were welcomed by His Highness the Maharaja Sir Hari Singh. Srinagar was known as the Venice of India and was renowned as a pleasure resort for British officers and officials in India. The Maharaja of Kashmir invited them to be his guests during their stay, and they enjoyed a few days of relaxation.
I was looking at some pictures. It looks gorgeous, actually.
Yeah, it does. Srinagar was the start of the hard part of the trip. Hart's plan was to carry on up over the 13,775-foot high pass, Burzil Pass, to Gilgit. From there, they'd connect with the original planned route to Kashgar through the Karakoram Range. This would take approximately 45 days to complete. The local opinion said it was impossible to take a vehicle beyond Gilgit, but Hart believed it could be done. Plus, they'd arrive on schedule in Kashgar to make their reunion with China Group on or around July 20th.
Got it. So they've been through sort of West Asia, through Afghanistan, the Khyber Pass, into this scorching area of the northern subcontinent. They're in Kashmir, and now they're heading into the Himalayas where cars do not go.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, this seems pretty I mean, I get they had to reroute, but they're rerouting through some pretty, like, the highest mountains on the planet, like,
yeah,
with a car, untested,
yeah.
And the idea is they're going to go through here into Qingkang, sort of what is now northwestern China, and at that point was its own thing. I think it was complicated back then.
Yeah, Xinjiang was a province.
Got it.
The Pamir Group's cars were designed so they could be progressively lightened by stripping them down bit by bit to the basic engine and chassis. And if it came down to it, even the engine could be dismantled and carried by pack horses. Colonel Gabriel pointed out that it wasn't as much a problem of terrain as logistics. A 45-day march at this altitude called for a minimum weight of 1,000 pounds of baggage for each European. This included food, warm clothing, tents, and equipment and supplies for camping, plus fuel and spare parts for the vehicles. Therefore, 23 people would require 400 men or 200 pack horses. If all 7 vehicles attempted the trip, the number of porters and horses would need to be doubled.
Jesus. I see what the comment of this is not about terrain, it's logistics. It's we know how to get past this terrain, but do we know how to get all the stuff we need through it?
Yes.
Also a very military-minded thing to say.
Yeah.
Here's a point where I'm like, man, is this even worth it anymore? Now it's starting, when you realize that, you're like, oh, this is kind of silly.
I think vacationing in colonial Srinagars sounds very pleasant.
Just stay there, just hang out.
It seems like a lovely place. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the solution was to divide the group into 3 smaller groups with departures staggered by 8 days. This meant Group 2 could use the porters and ponies sent back by Group 1, and Group 3 would go when the porters and ponies arrived back after Group 2.
Okay.
Only 2 vehicles and their drivers would be able to keep going. The rest would have to return to France. Everyone in the group was limited to 600 pounds per person.
Oh my God. Imagine getting to the base of the Himalayas and being like, all right, 2 cars, because it's going to require the entire population of Kashmir to get the supplies up this fucking hill.
Yeah. Turn around, go back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just hang around in base camp, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'd
like to hang around at base camp for like K2 or Everest and just for a week and see what it's like. I don't want to climb them because I would die, but just hanging out at base camp looking at the mountains sounds like a lot of fun to me.
Oh, yeah. It's like Mitch Hedberg. It's immortal Mitch Hedberg. You're in base camp, you can go up mountain? Soon.
I love Mitch Hedberg.
Still at base camp.
Jammu and Kashmir, that sort of highly disputed area where there's indigenous Kashmiri people who are effectively under occupation, the contested land between India, Pakistan, and China. That's something I definitely...
Yeah.
In terms of following curiosity, it's just a part of the world that I know is so important, so disputed, and so tragic in a lot of ways, and so beautiful. A lot of so's. Yeah, definitely stories there.
Yeah. On June 29th, they received a radio message that the China group had encountered fighting between Chinese forces and Muslim rebels in Xinjiang. Their arrival in Kashgar would be delayed. The message read, FPCF from FXI Beirut Radio from Points Mission, NR18. Arrived Hami yesterday, June 25. Stop. Passed through severe battle between Chinese troops and Mohammedan rebels. Stop. Left Petro alone at Hami with a damaged lorry. Stop. As soon as it is repaired, he will join us in Kashgar. Stop. Grave Mohammedan rebellion makes progress difficult. V point.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll do it. It's kind of like the way they rerouted too. It's like the most difficult, way more difficult terrain, plus way more political instability. So,
yes.
Yeah, it's kind of
absolutely.
Well, they are just heading into the land of political instability because this is, again, mid-Civil War revolutionary China. And you've got the sort of the Uyghur population there and, the revolutionary forces, and everyone's getting along great. This is a happy route.
Yeah. Nothing to see here.
Nothing could possibly go wrong. Nope.
Hearts Party, the second group, set off on July 12th over the Burzil Pass with the 2 remaining vehicles, the Golden Scarab and the Silver Crescent. They were now 3.5 months and 3,500 miles, or 5,600 kilometers, from Beirut. The next 500 miles, or 800 kilometers, would probably take them just as long.
Wow. Yeah, the Golden Scarab, that vehicle's seen some shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the one that caught on fire in Africa.
Like, still going strong.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, all they had to do was replace a couple of wires, and away they went.
Wow.
Despite the fact the thing had been burned to a skeleton.
Right.
Right. If our Subaru burned to a skeleton, we would not be able to replace a couple of wires and keep it going.
No.
Just don't make them the same way,
We used to own things.
That is the one boomer thing where I'm like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Used to own things that were high quality, damn it.
God, if only the people who ran those companies, and contributed to the enshittification of all things. Again, it's not a generational problem; it's a capitalism problem. That's another episode.
Sure is.
Yep. The Brazil Pass had been hit with heavy rains recently. Rivers were swollen, bridges destroyed, track washed out, and there were landslides. At one point, it took 10 hours to cover just 4 miles. In places, the trail was barely 4 feet wide, 7 inches narrower than the tracks of the vehicles. So, with cliffs on one side and drop-offs on the other.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's terrifying.
Plus, Brazil Pass had 20 feet of snow, so the party had to creep along while probing the snow for hidden crevasses.
I'll stop complaining about our 4 feet of snow then.
Yeah. Come on.
We have
at this point,
2 feet.
4 feet have fallen. We just happen to have 2 feet of snow on the lawn.
Really?
It's insane.
We got some snow and then it's been pouring rain for the last 2 days.
Oh, wow.
My hometown is basically Pacific Northwest weather now, unfortunately.
Wow.
It's Vancouver here in the winter.
Yeah.
But this is wild. Like, come on. At this point, you're probing the snow. Like, you're gonna die. You're gonna just fall off the cliff edge. What are we doing here?
I'm looking at images of the Brazil Pass, and it is beautiful and absolutely terrifying. My God.
Yeah, like, I'm sure it's amazing, but, like, I don't know. At a certain point, you gotta say, look. But then, they're in the middle of nowhere. How do they get out? They gotta go back to where they came, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they're not just having some helicopter come pick them up, right? This is like, well, just keep going, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
For most river crossings, they judged the best course of action was for porters to lug the 2-ton cars across rickety wooden bridges. It was too dangerous. Yeah, they get the porters to do it.
Yeah, you don't worry about it. You'll got it.
We believe in you.
Yeah, you guys will be fine.
Yep.
These like archaeologists and colonels and engineers and diplomats are like just giving a thumbs up with a big smile as this bridge is swaying wildly side to side with like this porter and like a half-ton caterpillar over his head.
Yeah, they're just waiting. Yeah, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
It was too dangerous for the drivers to sit in the cars and steer, so they steered from behind using ropes like reins.
What a scene.
Once the track gave way under the Golden Scarab and it hung over a precipice over the Astor River. It took 5 hours with jacks, crowbars, and winches to get it to solid ground.
Damn. I thought the solution was going to be they're just going to have a cat jump on the side that's not falling off the cliff. And the
absolutely.
Wait.
And it'll be a palace cat. It's that part of the world. The cutest of all cats. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just doing like their grumpy fucking palace cat face. Just sitting on the edge of a caterpillar, saving several dozen lives.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like
wander
it?
to the wrong side and a bunch of Frenchmen die. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. That's PALLAS cat, not PALACE.
Right.
If you happen to be trying to look it up.
I think the other term is manual. Yeah, manual is the I think the actual name for them.
Oh,
that's right.
They're called both, but I think manual is maybe a local name. Anyways, they're adorable and irrelevant. Continue on.
On July 21st, the party reached the village of Astor, perched high up and overlooking the junction of 2 massive gorges ringed by towering peaks. Hart was still optimistic that the cars could get through under their own power, though due to elevation, the power output of the engines was only about half.
Interesting.
Oh, right, because there's just less oxygen in the air, so they're just... Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Internal combustion engine, blah, 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 flaming the gas.
Yeah, internal combustion engine requires oxygen, and if the air is thin, you're not going to have a lot of oxygen.
I believe this village is also perched precariously at a cliff with strategically placed manholes that are just supposed to stay perfectly still, or everybody careens into a valley.
Yeah.
That's right.
What's the village called again?
Astor. A-S-T-O-R.
Okay. I see Astor. But anyways, continue on.
They were beginning to be concerned that they hadn't heard from Victor Point and the China group in 3 weeks. Farther along the valley, they came to a place where the mountainside had collapsed. It was incredibly unstable, and a new path needed to be made, so they couldn't drive across it. Instead, they'd have to dismantle the cars completely.
Oh, God.
Bivouacking a vehicle.
Yeah.
Wow.
At dawn on July 25th, they divided the cars into 60 pounds or 27 kilos of loads that could be carried by ponies and mules. 2 days later, the slide was successfully bypassed.
Damn. I just kind of imagine taking apart your entire vehicle and then just carrying them across, putting them back together. That's
in 60-pound chunks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Portage La Prius.
Yep.
Yeah. Is it portage? Yeah, bivouac. What's bivouacking?
Camping.
Is it the same thing? It's like camping. I don't know. I don't know my French Canadian fur trapper terminology as well as I should.
Yeah.
Bivouac is a sort of temporary moving camp, while portage is hauling your canoe. So, for example, if you're moving from the North Saskatchewan to the Athabasca River, you would portage it that way up.
That's right.
Which is a nice, easy walk.
Oh, yeah. Again, like this one, just portage your car through the mountains, this dangerous pass where you might fall off a cliff. Palace cats might cut your face off, like, you know. I don't think they actually would, but you never know.
There's snow leopards, too. I'm sure they're a little bitier.
On August 4th, they arrived at Gilgit and found the entire population of the town waiting for them. There was also a telegram waiting for them from Audouin Dubray, dispatched from Peshawari on July 25th. Group 3, his group, was the one with the radio set. Mm-hmm. They received word that China group ran into trouble and were seriously delayed. Their path had been diverted, and now instead of arriving at Kashgar, they were detained at Urumqi, 800 miles, or 1,300 kilometers, to the northeast. No one had any idea what was happening to China Group, but now Pamir Group was certain that the proposed reunion at Kashgar was off, that it would now be impossible. Pamir Group had to have a rethink. It would be pointless to continue.
North. Yeah, so I'm looking at a map. This is like north of the Gobi. My God, they have been diverted.
Which city again? Was it Urumqi?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Damn.
Wow. It's like we did not go where we wanted to go.
No.
Pamir Group had to have a rethink. It would be pointless to continue over the Hunza Gorges and the Karakoram Mountains. They would run out of fuel long before reaching Urumqi. But it seemed imperative now to continue by the fastest means en route to Urumqi, even if it meant abandoning the mission. They decided that Hart, Audouin Dubray, the scientists, cinematographer, and camera crew would continue on horseback and leave the vehicles and their drivers behind. The Silver Crescent was presented to the government of India and left at Gilgit. The Golden Scarab was dismantled and sent back to Paris. André Citroën was anxiously waiting by the radio for news of the expedition. When the expedition was in planning stages, he had anticipated that thanks to the new medium of radio, he would have no problems in communicating with both groups. André saw the radio as a tool of democracy, allowing an instantaneous dialogue linking the citizens of every nation and not merely just their rulers. He believed that the radio transcended geographical and political barriers that prevented the fast and free exchange of ideas. It would lead to a new age of international understanding and cooperation.
Citroën reminds me of the utopian internet people from the early 2000s during the dot-com boom, before social media and algorithms destroyed everything.
Yeah.
But the notion that the internet would foster in this new age of everybody being beautifully educating because all of human knowledge would be at their fingertips, and these ideas that we would have this like true universal democracy and these sort of enlightened man kind of idea rather than the burning hellscape we now all live in. So, but I do appreciate that starry-eyed optimism because it's a lovely thing. Even if you look back and go, "Oh, buddy."
I know. I just think, man, this guy's incredibly optimistic about technology.
Yeah.
Like, incredibly, where it's like, wow, like, just an ounce of cynicism, maybe.
Other people got that.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know what?
Let him be our beautiful, starry-eyed boy.
And you know what? We need those people, actually, because
yes,
it is possible. Better things are possible.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
It's unfortunate the way it did turn out, but, you know.
Yep.
Didn't have to be that way either. Thanks again, capitalism.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like, honestly, I was going to say that earlier too. Ultimately, the root of all problems is capitalism. Like, honestly. Anyway.
We could have higher quality problems, damn it.
That's right.
The obstacles in the path of the China group were almost entirely man-made. Since leaving Tientsin on April 6, 1931, they had suffered repeated setbacks. The press showed itself to be hostile to the expedition. The Chinese scientists that were supposed to be accompanying them had not yet arrived. Marshal King sent a warning to them that they might be attacked by bandits on the Xinjiang frontier, and in his opinion, the journey was too dangerous and should be abandoned. Then they had a truck fall through the rotten timbers.
Scientists. Bandits are just part of the job.
Yeah.
Sorry. To this day, I mean, that's always been the case. If you're scientists, bandits are always out to get you. It's just...
Yeah, it's true. Scientists at my workplace are constantly beset upon by bandits.
Yeah. That's one. Yeah.
I think... sorry, go on. You were about to say something cool.
Yeah, sorry. I had to cut in with my stupid bandit banter.
Then they had a truck fall through the rotten timbers of an old bridge and very narrowly escape total destruction.
Jesus.
Point was recalled to Peking by urgent message. The latest press campaign accused them of not flying the Chinese flag alongside the French one in Peking. The Federation of Chinese Scientific Societies used this time to reopen the question of their sanction of the journey. And then the cars were breaking down because of a technical problem with the adjustment of the track band pulleys. The entire stock of supplies had been used up, and they had to cable André to send replacements by rail.
Jesus Christ.
Sounds like cannibalism is about to happen. But also, flags, I kind of just say as an aside, flags are stupid. Like, people get so angry about flags. And I don't care about flags at all.
I have very strong opinions that completely coincide with yours. I like a big lovely symbol. Who doesn't? But people get weird about flags.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In this case, it sounds like it was kind of an excuse to be like, we don't like it.
It was looking for it sounds like they were looking for a reason to grow cold on it because of the politics at the time. And the problem, of course, is that they are in they're in northwestern China, and everything's fallen apart, and the bandits are coming, and they have started to eat each other, and it's
and that's when the cannibalism started.
Exactly.
That's right. The bandits are coming, and they're going to eat us and take our flags.
No, not the flags. April 24th, they reached the Great Wall at Kalgan, where they waited for the new track bands and the delegation of 8 Chinese scientists that would be accompanying them on the mission. The track bands were soon delivered, but the Chinese scientists didn't arrive until May 24th, a full month later. On the 27th of May...
How are they eating?
Well, like right now they're in a town called Kalgan, so they're staying at hotels and
they have resources. They just don't have supplies to continue traveling.
I see.
Yeah.
Yes. They're not just in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
Yep. On the 27th of May, China Group reached the outskirts of the Gobi Desert, traveling at approximately 70 miles or 110 kilometers per day. They had 1,800 gallons or 6,800 liters for the 1,250-mile, 2,000-kilometer crossing. They had to contend with the continual risk of fires ignited by the near-constant electrical storms.
Oh, God.
June 2nd, they were grounded due to a violent sandstorm. When the dust cleared, they found the trail had been erased. Lefèvre says in an Eastern Odyssey, quote, "The only evidence that the trail had ever existed being the complete skeleton of a camel with skull, ribs, spine, and hoofs."
Oh, that's so hardcore.
Yeah. Camels should very Donner Party, too.
Yeah.
They're crossing the Great Salt Lake. It's getting very Donner Party. It's like, oh no, the desert. When you get to the desert, that's the easy part. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this part's flat. It's not the Himalayas.
Yeah.
That sucked. Thank God we're in a happier place now. The Gobi Desert.
Just, ignore the skeletons.
Camels should have no difficulty in finding spare parts in this country, one of the men remarked.
That's pretty good.
Genuinely great bit. I love it when a joke from the 1930s still lands today.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
On June 6th, gas cans started exploding in the intense heat. They found they had just enough gas for 120 miles, or 200 kilometers, but the closest supply dump was at least twice that distance. The others halted while Point and Petro went on ahead for more gas. Fortunately, the supply dump had been buried underground and hadn't been interfered with.
Well, if you're going to send anybody for gas, you send Petro.
Yeah.
Could you imagine your gas cans exploding and the sheer terror when you're going through this physically and politically hostile area and suddenly your gas cans start exploding? Oh my God.
Yeah, terrifying.
Like, just disassemble me and ship me back to Paris at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would not have made it this far, I think. Or actually, I probably would have. I would have been one of those ones to hold out to the very end because I don't mind traveling under horrific circumstances.
Tracy's always in for a road trip.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. I do like a good road trip. My tolerance is getting bad, though, for heat, though. That's my thing. But
oh, yeah, I don't do well with the heat.
I gotta be somewhere where it's 25 degrees everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
Every season.
Yeah.
That's just Los Angeles. You don't want to be there.
No, it's true.
On June 15th, all 9 cars entered Suzhou. It took 5 more days to go 250 miles, or 400 kilometers, between Suzhou and the Xinjiang frontier. At Minshui Pass, the Mongolian plateau gave way to rolling plains. Along the way, they began to encounter ominous warnings of trouble to the west. On June 28th, they arrived at the outskirts of the oasis of Hami and found the houses in flames and the village deserted. Revolt had broken out in Xinjiang by Muslim insurgents, and over the next few days, the, quote, horrified Europeans witnessed scenes of cruelty and carnage.
Oh my God.
Ever present were the distant sounds of gunfire. Hami itself, however, was still in government hands.
Mm-hmm.
There was constant friction with the Chinese scientists, too, who wouldn't recognize Point's authority. And then things got worse.
Oh great.
The officer commanding the Chinese garrison said orders had been received from Marshal King that instead of being allowed to carry on to Aksu and Kashgar, they were to proceed under escort to Urumqi. Marshal King revoked the permit of safe conduct through his province. The reason that was given was that the expedition was seen photographing scenes of fighting that were considered detrimental to the national dignity of China. Though the real reason was that Marshal King was upset because the gift of 3 motor cars promised by André Citroën failed to arrive.
Sounds classic dictatorship.
Yeah.
Yep.
Flattery and like, well, I don't want you to see my war crimes. So just to clarify politically, this is the Chinese government, Chiang Kai-shek, not the communist revolutionaries?
Yeah, it's Chiang Kai-shek.
Got it.
And they're clashing with local Islamic group, yes?
Yep. The entire group, including the Chinese scientists, left Hami for Urumqi on July 1st. They crossed the infamous Turfan Depression, which is a trough at the foot of the Bogda Mountains in China. The depression was described as a stifling hellhole, 85 feet below sea level. The heat reached 122 Fahrenheit or 50 degrees Celsius.
Oh my God.
On July 19th, the group reached Urumqi, but they did not enter the town and surrender. Instead, on Point's orders, they set up camp outside the town's walls to prevent seizure of their vehicles. The cars were further immobilized by removing the caterpillar tracks. Passports and official recognition had been cancelled by the government in Nanking as well as the regime in Xinjiang. China Group remained...
They were kind of stuck.
Yeah. China Group remained under virtual arrest for 43 days. They were forbidden to use the radio, so it was impossible to get word to the Pamir Group of their situation. The only consolation was that the Chinese delegates returned east.
God, this Chiang Kai-shek guy sounds kind of awful. I hope someone did something about him.
Yeah. He sounds like kind of a, I don't know, like a dictator? Like a bad guy? I don't know. It sounds like he likes landlords a lot. I don't know. Anyway, I kid. But yes, this sounds like a bad scene, being trapped there and not able to communicate. That's not great.
Point knew they'd need outside intervention, that they had to get word to Hart, who was currently in the middle of the Himalayas. So the group pretended to have a party celebrating the centenary of the founding of the Third French Republic. They raised the radio aerial disguised as a flagpole, flying the French flag, and sent a message via Morse code. The guards wanted to know why the engine was running at night, and the group explained it was to power their gramophone, which was actually a wind-up one.
Amazing. I was about to say gramophone
Finally,
typically, yeah.
A use for a flag. But also cranking up the gramophone. They're like, oh yeah, this checks out. That's pretty funny.
I appreciate that as a genuinely cunning plan.
Yeah.
The message was picked up by several listening posts around the world, including a French sloop in Hong Kong. This is the message received by Hart 10 days later. By now, the rebellion around Hami swelled to the point where Chinese supremacy in Xinjiang was threatened. A government army of 8,000 soldiers was slaughtered by the rebels. Without reinforcements to head them off, the Muslims would soon be at Urumqi and have total control of the region. With telegraph lines cut, communication with the capital was impossible, so Marshal King needed French help. On August 20th, he summoned Point to his headquarters. He said that even though Nanking canceled their passports, he would authorize Hart to enter Xinjiang on the condition that Point send his wireless expert to establish radio communications with Nanking. They agreed that on September 6th, 4 cars could go and meet up with Hart and the remnants of the Pamir group coming from Kashgar. At the time, the Pamir group was 2 days from the Xinjiang border. As Hart understood it, their cancelled visa entry to Xinjiang was renewed, and they were allowed to carry on, under the condition that the 3 Citroen cars and other equipment that fell into Muslim rebel hands would be replaced immediately.
Okay, so they did lose some goods. They weren't totally unscathed by the conflict itself.
Yeah. When the third group caught up to the other 2, Pamir group reassembled, free to proceed, but without the Caterpillar cars they were forced to abandon. And proceed they did, with horses, mules, and camels.
So that's kind of it for their point, though, hey?
Yep.
If the point was to prove, yeah, these vehicles can do it, that sucks.
Yeah.
But I guess you gotta get out of there.
On October 8th, the 2 groups were finally reunited in the village of Islam Bai. Hart and Point together reached Urumqi on October 27th. It was the first time the entire group was together since leaving Paris 7 months before. Wow. They were 3 months behind schedule, with winter only weeks away, and they still needed permission from Marshal King to leave for Peking. Urumqi to Peking would take at least 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's a long distance.
Yeah. There was a general sense of optimism that they'd be able to get on with it. But the promised travel permits failed to appear. Marshal King was now too busy with the rebels to be bothered with such a minor thing. Hart was seriously worried about having to cross the frozen heart of Asia in the depths of winter, so the vehicles were insulated with felt and the crews with sheepskins. They had been prepared only for semi-tropical conditions.
Yeah, that's even more luggage. Like someone who's tried to pack for a trip that extended over the summer into the winter. Yeah. That's a challenge. That's a challenge, you know, and it's got suitcases to worry about. Again, this is getting more Donner Party-ish too, where it's like winter's coming, maybe you should wait.
Yeah.
But
the replacement cars finally arrived from Paris on November 20th. A week later, the communal passport was issued by Marshal King, and they were finally free to go on their way to Peking.
Minor delay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The return across the Mongolian plateau was an ordeal by ice. The cold was so extreme that hot soup froze solid in minutes after being ladled into metal bowls. Boiling water froze immediately when poured into radiators.
Yeah.
The engines were kept running to avoid freezing up. When the cars broke down, which they did, the mechanics needed time to fix things, like taking a blowtorch to frozen brake drums. They were almost within sight of Peking when they were set upon by bandits.
Just everything's fine.
Wow.
It's getting better, and the bandits show up. You know.
Yeah, that's when the bandits came.
Yay. Oh, just can't win. I was just thinking too. You currently live in Alberta, so you know how cold. So we're talking probably minus 40, 50 Celsius here.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least minus 40, because if you take boiling water at minus 40 and throw it into the air, it just all turns to ice.
Yeah. So damn. And having spent a winter in Kazakhstan, it's not pleasant. It's just howling wind and the cold for like 6 months. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oof. Yeah, it's like winter here, 6 months.
Yeah.
But probably not as cold as
No.
Kazakhstan.
Like, we're not traveling. It's probably about the same. And we're not traveling, right? Like, it's actually probably very, very similar, actually. Flat steppes, you on the prairies. Yeah, it's quite similar. Yeah, I'm curious about this, too, because they don't have their vehicles anymore either, right? Well, they met up with the other group. Did they still have their vehicles?
The China group still has theirs.
Yes. Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
I understand.
It was February 12th, 1932, the 315th day since Hart left Beirut, that they finally arrived at the outskirts of Peking. They passed through the western gate of the forbidden city of Peking and were met by almost all of the Europeans living in the city.
Wait, what happened with the bandits?
I don't know.
So the books are like, and then bandits attacked us.
Yep.
Peking.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay. We'll just theater of the mind.
Yeah. Just imagine. You kind of skipped over the bandits showing up.
And then bandits attacked us, and it was fine.
Yeah.
Everything was great.
Okay. But they made it to Peking.
Something happened they don't want to talk about. I'm worried about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
The stay in Peking lasted only 15 days, then they were off on the next stage of the journey. For Peking wasn't the end of it. From Shanghai, they would go by sea to Haiphong with a stop in Hong Kong. Then in French Indochina, they would explore a route between Hanoi and Saigon. There was talk of continuing further through Siam, Burma, India, and southern Persia.
Just being a big circle. Wow.
Yeah.
So hit the ocean and then start circling back and then do little mini expeditions around various parts of sort of southern Asia.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool.
Is the problem if you have wanderlust, though? It's like me. I'll be planning a vacation to, like, I'll go to one city and then I go, oh, that one's just a 3-hour train ride away. Oh, and then further from there, oh, that's just 5 more hours. And you end up making a huge itinerary to see all these places that you didn't plan on. It's like, yeah, it sounds like they have that.
Yeah.
Like, wow, looking at a map, it can't be that far.
Yeah.
That's close enough. Wow, I'm already here. Might as well just go, stretch it a little bit further.
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I mean, we're already in, it'll be, Vietnam, basically. We're already in Saigon. It's pretty easy to swing back over, through the Himalayas. So not that far.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. On March 3rd, 1932, in Shanghai, Hart complained of feeling unwell. The expedition's doctor diagnosed a chill, nothing a few days of rest couldn't fix. When they landed in Hong Kong on March 12th, Hart went straight to his hotel room. The governor of Hong Kong's medical advisor diagnosed a severe case of influenza and prescribed 3 weeks of rest.
Jesus.
3 days later, Hart developed pneumonia in the lower lobe of his left lung, and his temperature rose to almost 104 degrees Fahrenheit or 40 degrees Celsius. Overnight, he started to have trouble breathing and was given oxygen. Around 3 a.m. on March 16th, his temperature started to go down, but his breathing was slower and more feeble. At 3:40 a.m., Georges Marie Hart passed away.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Damn. Survives all of that and then just keels over from a flu.
Yep.
Granted, flus do that, particularly in the 30s, but damn.
Yeah.
It's still surprising. It's like, that could happen.
On March 17th, the expedition arrived at Hanoi. What was supposed to be a celebratory event had now become a day of mourning. I was bound by the ties of my deepest friendship to Hart, the director general of the Citroen factories, who had been my collaborator for 15 years, André wrote later. He was an ardent spirit, an idealist, always ready to devote himself to a noble cause, and was endowed with a great sang-froid and decision. He possessed the authority and power of command so essential to the true leader of men.
Is it noble to undertake this? This is a purely asking, like, legitimate question. Is it noble to undertake a trip like this?
I think so.
This isn't a philosophical question. I'm like, is it noble?
Sure, why not?
Yeah,
I think it is.
Like, he died for nothing. He wasted his life. And I'm just kidding.
It's pretty cool. The notion of attempting
Don't
to
stop.
do something nobody has done before, and from everything that this has been structured around, trying to do so in a way that is largely harmless, and just in the spirit of adventure. There's something noble about that.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, just an aside.
The Croisière jaune was kind of a failure and kind of a success. No cars were able to make the trip fully from Beirut to Peking, but as a scientific mission, it had been successful. During the 11 months of travel, 5,000 photos were taken, 200,000 plus feet of film was shot, plus there were drawings, ethnological documents, mineralogical specimens taken, objects of art and archaeology were gathered, and unusual flora and fauna was collected.
Cool.
On April 4th, 1932, a year to the day since their departure, the expedition and their vehicles lined up along the quay in Saigon to see Hart's coffin placed aboard the steamer bound for France. André was waiting when it arrived on April 29th. The Great Lecture Hall in the Sorbonne in Paris was not big enough to hold the crowd on 30th of November 1932 to welcome back to France the members of the Citroen Central Asian Expedition. The president, 2 former presidents, and many notable names showed up for the event. André sat with Marshal Pétain and 2 other generals. He learned he was to receive the Geographical Society's gold medal. According to French author Sylvain Reiner, 3 years later, a box from China arrived addressed to André. It contained things collected by Hart on the journey, pieces of art, rugs, presents for André. But before they could be imported to France, a hefty sum of outstanding customs duties needed to be paid. There had been a great change of the fortunes of the firm and family, though, and the wheel of fortune turns down as well as up. The money couldn't be found for this, or the new Citroen owners were unwilling to pay for it.
Someone should invent a wheel of fortune that only goes up.
Yep. There were 2 other Citroen expeditions in the 1930s. Both were privately organized and funded. One took place in Canada and the other in Antarctica, but we're only going to talk about the Canadian one.
Okay, interesting. Isn't an Antarctica one too?
Yep.
Did
the
it
Croisière?
Work?
What?
The Antarctica one. If we're not going to talk about it, did it work?
I don't know.
Fair enough. I'm going to imagine it was not a spectacular success, so there'd be something to say about it. They'd probably showed up and went, "Oh, this is cold," and then went back.
Yeah.
High five to Hank when it fucked off.
Sensible.
Everything froze up and they couldn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The Croisière Blanche, as it was named, was devised by a man named Charles Badeau. Does that name sound familiar to you guys?
No.
Kinda. It's ringing a bell.
He was a millionaire out of America, having emigrated there from France in 1908. He made his fortune as a business efficiency expert and was looking for another adventure. Badeau had already had experience with the Citroen Caterpillar cars, having run them in Morocco, Kenya, and Canada.
So this is like a Richard Branson type?
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of sounds like, that's why I went, oh God.
Want to have some adventures.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, what was that, Dave?
That's why I said, oh God. A bored businessman who wants to become an adventurer, you either end up this is how you end up getting McAfee'd.
Yeah. Or crushed in a submarine on your way to the Titanic.
Yep.
Squished into paste.
Badeau's aim with this expedition was to open a route from Edmonton, Alberta to the Yukon and Alaska. He promised André Citroën publicity and persuaded André to supply him with 5 specially equipped Caterpillar cars like those that were used in the Central Asia expedition. The 28-man expedition set out north from Edmonton in early July 1934. They reached Fort St. John about 410 miles or 660 kilometers northwest of Edmonton without issue. Really? But that's where the smooth sailing ended.
I was about to say, there's a point where it starts to get very difficult.
Yeah. Did they just go upriver maybe before? No, but they're driving their vehicles, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a swampy land, though, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
It depends where you are.
You're in the Boreal Forest at Fort St. John. Yes.
Yeah.
You're in Swampsville. I live in Swampsville. There are swamps everywhere. But when you get further west, the swamps all turn into giant mountains.
True.
That's where I am.
Mm-hmm.
You're swamp people. I'm mountain person. There we go.
I want to go back to BC.
Shut up, Swampy. You live here now.
Yep.
Yeah, you're a mountain person forced to live in the swamp.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a sticker.
Enjoy your swamp.
Yeah, that's right.
Freak weather conditions in the Rockies turned the expedition into a disaster. Heavy rains turned the tracks through ravines into rivers, and everything was churned into a mess of mud. One of the Caterpillar cars was lost trying to cross a river on a log raft. 2 more were submerged when a rocky path gave way and they fell into a ravine. This left only 2 vehicles to transport all the men on the mission and their supplies.
And to be clear, these vehicles crossed the Himalayas, the most legendarily impassable mountain range in the planet, and the Rockies, which we have all crossed 80 million times by car. Now, granted, they had put highways there by now, but wow.
You losers, I can cross the Rockies whenever I want. I can do it right now.
Exactly. Skill issue.
Yeah, exactly. Skill issue. Yeah.
Hit you in Valemont.
Yeah, that's right. I was gonna say, it's pretty wild though that they get that far, and all these vehicles have survived everything else, and this is where they kind of
and they're just also, they walk into BC and then immediately get destroyed by a mudslide. Incredible.
I know. It's like freak weather in the Rocky Mountains, buddy. That is the weather in the Rocky Mountains. It is only freak weather. Come on. Anyway,
so go on.
Maybe they didn't know. They're exploring after all.
Mm-hmm.
And then things got even worse.
Ooh.
Yay.
The horses and the ponies they had with them suffered from the damp and frost. It affected their hooves something awful. It was finally time to admit that the forested, unmapped wilderness was too much for them. The expedition was abandoned at the onset of winter in September.
Huh.
Damn. So they got, how far did they even get?
As far as I can tell, they made it a little further than Fort St. John. There's actually Citroen Peak in BC, which appears to be as far as they made it.
Really?
Wow. Really?
Yeah. So you can look that up on Google Maps and it will show you exactly where it is.
That's cool.
Okay, I see. Yeah. Oh, right, because they're heading northwest because they're trying to hit, they're not heading straight west. And
they're heading to Yukon and Alaska.
Right. So they're going up at a diagonal from Fort St. John, and that gets into some tricky mountain.
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Please continue as it gets worse. Oh no, wait. Sorry. The trench hoof, and then they're turning back and saying, "Fuck this, fuck Canada. I hate it here."
Yep. One of the cars was eventually recovered, and according to John Reynolds, it was donated to a museum in Saskatoon.
Oh,
this was in 2006. So whether it's still in the museum and which one is a mystery.
Well, on our road trip, our cross-Canada road trip, that will be one of our...
We can go find it.
Yeah.
Charles Badeau was a shady fellow that eventually became famous for other reasons. He purchased a chateau in France to use as his base of European operations.
Oh no, he's on the Epstein list.
That's the least of his problems. Badeau had extensive business dealings with Germany and as a result had many high-level Nazi contacts, which included Hitler when he came to power in 1933.
Every single business person except for Citroen is a fascist. Incredible.
Yes.
Yep.
When British King Edward VIII abdicated the throne in order to marry American Wallis Simpson, Badeau offered them the use of his chateau for the wedding, even though he never
Jeff
met the
Bezos inviting Elon Musk to his wedding, right? This is just
one of the
same shit.
And one of the most famous scandalous marriages of the 20th century. Amazing. The whole Wallis Simpson Edward thing.
Yep.
They did take him up on his offer. They also took him up on his offer to arrange a visit to Germany for them in 1937.
Oh, that's nice.
Yay.
Which turned out to be quite a famous trip. Look it up.
Yeah. Really?
Yep.
I'm not going to look it up because that's going to be another episode, I think.
I think it could be.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Or it can go in our junk drawer. Like I say, we'll do a junk drawer episode.
We can do a junk drawer episode.
Cool.
Badeau was in a good place to commit industrial and political espionage, which led to charges that he was an undercover Nazi agent.
Why?
During the occupation of France, he acted as an intermediary between Vichy and Berlin. At the end of the war, he was arrested by the Americans and transported to Miami to await trial, where he committed suicide.
Womp womp.
Oh, man, there were some strikes against this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Campbell strike. My God. Wow. What a piece of shit. Incredible. I'm glad he came to a bad end.
Yeah.
Good.
In 1934, the Michelin family, the tire company owners, took over Citroën after the car manufacturer filed for bankruptcy. They put a stop to all these expeditions, these publicity stunts, and closed down the Citroën Kegress subsidiary. After all, notes John Reynolds, a Caterpillar tracked vehicle did not require tires. André Citroën died from stomach cancer in 1935. There is a public garden in Paris named in his honor. There is also a mountain in northern British Columbia bearing his name. Citroën Peak appears to be the farthest north the failed Croisière Blanche made it.
Huh.
Well,
Croisière Blanche.
It's funny they're defeated by Alberta. I mean,
who among us hasn't been, though?
That was,
I was.
That was a hell of a story. My God.
Yeah, damn, fascinating. And it just makes me think, like, what did they took those Caterpillar vehicles from us? We could all be driving. Fuck flying cars. That's carnage.
Yeah,
a Caterpillar car drive up in the Himalayas. Yeah,
that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I would love that.
Ideally, it would be electric, but back in the day, they're doing what they could. Electric Caterpillar vehicle that look. That's my next project. Well, that's an awesome story, Tracy. That was amazing. Very, very fascinating.
Thank you. Unfortunately, there was no cannibalism.
Yeah, that's a little bit of disappointment. I guess by the 30s,
we can find cannibalism stories. They're plentiful.
Yeah, I've got a whole list of them.
That's right.
I know you do.
But there were Donner Party vibes, right? Because it was getting to the point where, you clearing new paths, trying to take a different route unexpectedly, all these things. Like, I guess by the time you get to, I really thought too, because
the local indigenous people attacking you for showing up where they don't want you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Bandits.
Yeah.
Got a bandit tail,
Yeah, again, you've got sort of Uyghur resistance versus local indigenous folks with the Donner Party, but still there's a little bit of similarity there.
What are parallels? I wish I could I was just thinking I want to start a career as a bandit, but I'd just be that's just a carjacker.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I bet we could invent a new form of banditry. We'll have to think about it.
We need those masks. I'll make some masks. Yeah, I can't sew. Again, we're gonna be the Wonderkamer dilettante bandits.
The dilettante bandits. Love it.
Dilettante bandits on our road trip across.
We're not very good at any form of banditry, but we dabble in everything. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll need to invent some kind of vehicle that we can drive across the country. It's an expedition. Damn it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that is it for this episode of the Wonderkamer. We love you all equally. And if you want to send any corrections or complaints to us, don't. But if you want to send praise, contact thewonderkamer.ca.
Or you can find us on Blue Sky at thewonderkamer.ca.
And on Instagram, eventually.
Hopefully by the time this goes up, we have an Instagram account.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Probably. It's a plan.
Yeah, find us online in all the places.
All right.
And
bye.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
And scene.
Thank you for listening to The Wonderkamer. Find us under The Wonderkamer on Blue Sky, YouTube, and Instagram.